We're back. We had some technical difficulties, but what I was getting at is that there are several universes that could potentially occupy this realm. It is a variable slate, is what I like to call it when talking about this. Variable slate. And other just media that contains an uncertain universe. And there is no such story that cannot contain some possible variability. You know, you look at Marvel, for example, and this would go for any universe. So anything that just has space, this example works for, but it is true for everything in general. Did a star explode at 11 minutes in 7 seconds in Age of Ultron? Or not? Technically. Because when attempting to build a world that is foolproof, it is not possible, but it can be done to different degrees. And obviously Marvel is going to be more fleshed out than our Choo video here. Because it doesn't matter if a star exploded at 11:07 minutes into the movie in Age of Ultron, somewhere in the universe, technically in the lore. No. But videos like this, the more simplistic it gets, for kids, the more, not what I would call plot holes, necessarily, but what I would more call lingering possibilities is the phrase I would like to use. Because these are fairly surface level observations. And it does not take long to decipher for oneself, even though I have studied this before. It does not take long to decipher for oneself that there is potential issues. But we'll continue on. They are blueberries, put them on the train. They are blueberries, let's set off again. So, the singer is clearly British. If you have not captured that yet, and this is going to be an important point, the main offender of, well, that has a negative connotation, the word offender, but the main kind of giveaway, if you have not been already able to establish, is how he says the word again, which in typical American English would be again. But he says again. And I accidentally put a little arrow. I meant to do a dash. They are blueberries, let's set off again. So that is an important point to note, that this is all British. But let's see what's actually happening. They are blueberries. I don't know why I wrote trains. They are blueberries put them on the train. Which is good. This is all going to be our C structure. So technically, structure is going to revolve in verses, but I'm using a structure notation that is just going to go for the whole song in terms of just the various tunes, because there are three technical stings. I wouldn't call them stings, I would call them three technical sections. They are blueberries. Put them on the train. They are blueberries. Let's set off again. So, we have repetition as a literary device here, which is obvious in our choo choo train, fruit fruit. All that is repetition. They are blueberries. We'll kind of make a little key here. Repetition. They are blueberries. They are blueberries. I believe we used red for rhyming earlier. So, train. Train does not rhyme with again, but it does in British English if you are saying again. Train and again. So, we have kind of some rhyming. So these are all literary devices. But more so, it's going to just kind of announce. Like, this is an announcement. And it's, again, it goes back to the child thing. It's an announcement. Because it needs to make things obvious. They are blueberries. I mean, one could look at this and say, yeah, those are blueberries. Purple hue. They have the pits in the centers. Not the pits, but like, you know, like the kind of divots. Not in terms of a stone fruit. They are blueberries. And if that wasn't enough, they are blueberries again. Put them on the train. That's a demand. That is a demand. That is not. It's commanding. So this is going to feed back into our universe that we were talking about earlier. Our potential universes. This is more solidification of evidence that this may be the first time that this train has gone through. It's yet another command. Put them on the train. If they go through frequently to the stations and they pick up fruit, because you can see this kind of structure and this substructure is quite permanent. They are blueberries, fine. You can say that even if you go through a lot, if they're variable. Put them on the train. That's a demand. That's imperative. They are blueberries. Put them on the train. Which is a command, variability. There is some aggression in the tone as well. They are blueberries. Let's set off again. Which is going to be more of a hortatory. It can be seen more as a command, but it is more of a companionship. They are blueberries. Put them on the train. They are blueberries. Let's set off again. So, there could potentially, in all of this, there could be some robbery going on, which opens up another potential universe, because there are infinite potential universes, but this is one that is more apparent to us. A robbery. They are blueberries. Put them on the train. If this is the first time this train is even supposed to be going through here, I mean, like, maybe this is just a train. I mean, like, this doesn't look official. There's no branding. No logo-ridge. There's no logo on here. There's no verbiage on the cars. We don't know what this train is meant to do. So, it is the potential that this is the right train and it goes through here often, or even if it's the right train, it goes through for the first time, but it's meant to pick up this fruit, or it just could be robbery. They are blueberries. Put them on the train. They are blueberries, and then the haste that comes from the term, let's set off again. Let's set off meaning let's go further on the track. So yes. So there could be an air of robbery, which is another potential universe, but accusations will not fly today. Let's continue. As you can see, they drop right into the cart. So we'll talk about this whole setup in the physical universe. this video soon.
I don't know if you can hear that.
So it's going to enter back into the whole A scheme, not rhyme scheme. I don't know if this is technically the right notation with the BCC thing, because that only goes for verses technically, but I'm using it on a greater scale. The the brr 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 with the trumpet, we already went over most of this, but it's going to enter this routine again, which is the chorus. So far it's chorus verse, or it's going to be chorus verse chorus. So we're going to send back into this. Now it's time to stop and see what fruit we've got. They are raspberries, put them on the train. They are raspberries, let's set off again. So we have the same lyrics as the last CC substructure. We have the announcement, which happens twice. They are raspberries, they are raspberries. And the command, which happens one time. Put them on the train. And we have the hortatory. Let's set off again. Which is going to be, I don't know why I wrote it out, but it's going to be the next one. And we're just going to take a peek here. Which is going to be let us, which is where this hortatory comes from. It's going to be more Latin terminology, but it still works. So we have the same substructure here, but obviously we have one difference, and we've already kind of just delved into the universes a bit of this. We have raspberries. We have raspberries versus the former blueberries. So there are going to be two raspberries. Actually, we can craft a bit of a Venn diagram here, I believe. Well, not let me X out anymore. Craft a bit of a Venn diagram. We have the raspberries. We have the blueberries. Raspberries are going to be red. Blueberries are going to be purple / blue, which we are going to call indigo for our purposes. Raspberries, blueberries. They are blueberries, put them on the train. They are raspberries, put them on the train. Goes into train. Or, well, we would put that in the bowl section. Goes in train. Into, technically, but who cares? There are 2 raspberries, and there are 3 blueberries. And we'll see this on... We will pull up some research prior I did. What species of raspberries are frequently found in Britain? The European red raspberry. And what blueberries are frequently found in Britain? The European blueberry. So they're both going to be European and of that genus. Not genus, but of that, kind of section of agriculture, specifically bearage. And they're both going to be British. And given the just complete lack of detail, we can only assume that they're subconsciously said berries that we just researched, delved into a little bit. 3 versus 2 is important because on average, a smaller blueberry is going to be, a blueberry is going to be smaller than a raspberry. And search up the average European blueberry size. Less than 1 centimeter. We'll actually go the average European blueberry mass. 0.75 to 2.5 grams. If we're going to assume it's about an average berry, we can go for 1.5 grams roughly. So 1.5 grams per blueberry. It's going to be 4.5 grams of blueberry. Average mass of European red raspberry is going to be approximately 4 grams. They can vary from 2.5 to 6, but if we're going to go average, they're going to be 4. So it is going to be 8 versus 4.5, which is going to be quality over quantity. So you get more fruitage, actually, as we see, which is going to be interesting. Because why do you get more fruitage? Why is there a discrepancy? Why does one station provide better than the other? So we can see that the raspberry station is going to provide more quality versus quantity, but what do you want? What is the point of sending an entire train out to collect 5 pieces of fruit that is only going to total to 12.5 grams on average, and at most it might total to potentially 17, 18 total grams? So all this leads to why. There is a lot of why. Why? Why raspberries and blueberries? Why one more than the other in mass? Why are these stations here? Why send a whole train for 5 fruits, at least thus far, and more? And that is all because of the simplicity that we go back to. It is a children's song. Its lore is not deep enough to answer these pending questions. So we're going to head here into the physical universe, less of the analysis. We're going to kind of view the substructure here. This is kind of going to be what a station, a typical station, is going to be 2 wooden posts, another wooden post, a sign, a black sign, or a sign with a black border that is white in Comic Sans. Another piece off of this with a longer wooden piece, and hanging down is a fruit. These stations are odd. They have quite a few weaknesses. They are thin structurally. They are poor at preserving the fruits, obviously. Poor fruit preservation. Because obviously, a fruit like this, these are large in comparison. These would be miniature, but they are pure large, and they are going to be overall just very. I don't know how I want to put this. Just very inefficient. Is this them at max capacity? Which is going to be lead to more questions. Is this them at max capacity? Where is this place that only needs 5 fruits per train? This might be the only train because it is choo choo train, not choo choo trains. You know, it kind of specifies. Why is this? What is this region within this universe that only needs this many fruits? Why is this? This station is very not sound, obviously, written in Comic Sans. It's very clear. That is a strength. It is clear. But that's about it. Might be easy to pick up, but what triggers this to fall down? Is it just pure luck? It just falls. Why? How is that? Why does this happen? This video leaves you with lots of questions. What is this universe? What is the intention of these trains? Is this train a living being? Why are there fruit stations? Why does it carry fruit? Why does it carry such little fruit? Why are the fruits so large? Why are these stations so inefficient? Why is there no railroad? Some of these are simply stylistic choices, but some of them do apply to the universe as well. And we're going to kind of get a bit into the design away from this kind of deep thought of these raspberries versus blueberries. So the raspberries here, they're very detailed versus a simplistic background, and so are the blueberries. Not my drawing. Once again, I'm no artist, but they're very detailed versus the background, which is going to remind you of something. It might remind you of our smoke. These are key features. This is what they want you to see, but you see all because you're an omnipotent third-person viewer. You're going to see all, but these are the important things they want you to see the train, which is why it has more. As you can see, these are dull kind of colors. Look at this grass. I mean, this grass is clearly dead, or just barely hanging on. These are dull colors. They choose weird colors for the train. There's no train that's just ever been this color, not a single time. They have the face that makes you question. This bright sign in just this shocking large text. These bright, huge fruits that are way bigger than normal, and that smoke. Those are all the key focus points. This pixel of blue right here and these clouds, they're not focal points. They make the focal points one of 3 things: realistic, poppy, or juxtaposed. Lots of them share all of them. Realistic fruits, poppy sign. Sign is also not realistic whatsoever, but it is juxtaposed to this whole thing, which this is a fairly decent, more realistic drawing of a train than this. These are the focal points. The dull points, the unimportant points, the insignificant points, dull in hue and colorage. They're going to be no detail or bare bones detail, little detail, such as little boots, which is Caligula. And not juxtaposed whatsoever. Because obviously, you see the ground, yeah, there's probably going to be a sky, there's probably going to be a line. You see the train? Yeah, there might be wheels. The train itself is kind of juxtaposed a bit. Not necessarily. It is in a way. Not as much as some other stuff. But or as the smoke is, just to the general detail. The smoke isn't even juxtaposed to anything. I mean, you see the train, there's going to be smoke, but it is juxtaposed in just the fashion of stylistic choice. So that is all. That is all there. Obviously, you see the ground. You might expect to see a sky. You see a sky. You might expect to see some dull clouds. We'll continue on. So we have quite a bit to unpack here. The original rhyme scheme I gave you, or not rhyme scheme, but scheme of the entire song was A B C C, which does repeat slightly, but it's going to head back into A D. A B C C A D. I want you guys at home to think about this real quick. Because is it A B C C A D? No. It appears like it. But actually, it is A B C C A D E.
I believe.
Fruit, fruit train, toot, toot. Fruit train, toot, toot. Fruit train, toot, toot. Now it's time to stop and see what fruit we got. They are blueberries, put them on the train. They are blueberries, let's head off again. Which is all going to repeat, so this is kind of in brackets here. This repeats again, one time. And then we enter this scheme, which is not going to repeat at all. It's going to be fruit train, toot toot. D is fruit train. That's it. It's very similar to A, but it doesn't have the toot toot. E is fruity toot toot. E. That's the E section. And then we're going to see here, fruity toot toot is a very important line, in my opinion. Because fruity, and then it takes toot toot, and it gives you what you've been craving this entire time, which is toot. Because you want it keeps giving you fruit, it gets this toot finally. Fruity tooty is also kind of what this gives to. It's a common kind of phrase. It's a nice combination of words that rhyme in a way. Fruity tooty. Well, they do rhyme, but fruity too is also doesn't technically rhyme. And then finally, the train rolls away. And I don't know if you can hear, but it rolls away with the most realism that we see. There's no like there's no stations obviously, and we know these stations to be very kind of unreasonable in our world. No stations, no music. There's no fruit, at least not that we can see. And mainly there's a realistic train sound. So this is the most realism we're going to see. And you can see, we'll replay this real quick. It rolls off screen like